All right. I swear to God, girl, if this makes me cry, I'm gonna be upset with you today.
I think you say sorry.
Oh boy! Oh boy! It's gonna make me cry, yo! Oh boy! Okay, all right. Let's put the hat on. Let's put the face on. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's check this out. You are not the first person to tell me I needed to check out. Still need to get your sister's input on Florence. Yep, I definitely need to. I need to make sure that she's gonna be here on Wednesday. Cause I told her I'll give you a week heads up. We're gonna do Florence live. You better be there. Better be there. All right, let's go ahead and check out Citizen Soldier for the very first time and their song "Burden." Is there a better video? Is there a better video than this Burden one? Hold on. I might have rushed into this, guys. I might have rushed in. I'm sorry. Okay, I think the lyric video is all we have. Okay, all right, just making sure.
I think you say sorry too much. I think you got issues with trust from the voices in your head that say that you're too hard to love. I think you still live with the ghosts of people you needed the most, that let you down and taught you how to keep your closet door closed. But I've been there and I would rather die than watch you drown in tears that you need to cry. You can talk to me. I can tell that you're not okay. You can spill your guts, I won't leave. You are not a burden to me. You can talk to me. Even down in your darkest place, you can let your skeleton scream. You are not a burden to me.
I really like overall the message of this song for sure. Oh man, it's kind of giving me a little bit of the chills, man. Kind of even thinking about it, just like just the overall message behind this. This is definitely one of those mental health songs where this guy either himself and like I said, you can't fake this stuff. You can't just like come out of nowhere and talk about these things, right? So this guy either himself or to me, it doesn't sound like it's necessarily him. It sounds like somebody he really cares about, that he's writing a song to that person who's saying that, because I would feel like if he dealt with that kind of stuff himself, he wouldn't write this personal song. You know what I mean? It's more about like the understanding of the people who do feel that way. Does that make sense? Where maybe it's like a partner in his life, or maybe a family member, or just a close friend or something, but he definitely has somebody close into his life that was what drove him to write this. Does that make sense? Because if there's one thing that I have heard pretty consistent in my life is that I'm not a burden, and I say that quite a bit. That I try to not use those words because it's like one of those things that, like, when you've been dealing with depression for so long, you know what words trigger other people to say certain things to you, and you try to not use them. Does that make sense? So when you say something about I'm not trying to be a burden, a lot of times people, like, when they hear that, they're really quick to be like, you're not a burden. Does that make sense? So like they're very quick to like put your guard down of that when they hear somebody use that. That's like when I say you can't fake this kind of understanding unless you're very self-aware of it. You know what I mean? Like it's you can't just, this isn't just like a when you need to talk, I'm there for you song. This, even though that's kind of what it is, it's the real version of that. You know what I mean? There was a real person that they were thinking about when they wrote this song. It sounds like to me. And I could be completely wrong because, you know, art is created in so many different ways, where this could have been different lyricists in the band. It could have been somebody that's writing this song to him, and he is the one who deals with the depression, and he's the one who's going to sing it. Talk about a fucked up way to, like, you know, you know what I mean? That's like if I had a band and my best friend wrote the lyrics to this song and was like, here, Johnny, now you go sing it. You know what I mean? Like, that would be fucked up to do somebody. Oh man, now I'm getting off track. I'm so glad. I'm not gonna say that.
You are not a burden to me. I think that you never get hurt by thinking someone's got it worse. Been minimized so many times that you believe it's deserved. I think you've been silent since youth, 'cause every time you speak your truth, you're stigmatized, re-traumatized by all the things you didn't choose. I don't mind your darker side, you can lose control. I'd rather hear your hell than see your funeral. You can talk to me. I can tell that you're not okay. You can spill your guts, I won't leave. You are not a burden to me. You can talk to me. Even down in your darkest place, you can let your skeleton scream. You are not a burden to me. The monsters that you're holding back, there's no need to dress them up. Your ugly truth give depth to you. Now there's so much more to love. You can talk to me. I can tell that you're not okay. You can spill your guts, I won't leave. You are not a burden to me. You can talk to me. Even down in your darkest place, don't ever be ashamed of your needs. You are not a burden to me. You are not a burden. You are not a burden. You are not a burden to me. You are not a burden. Monsters that you're holding back, there's no need to dress them up. Your ugly truth give depth to you. Now there's so much more to love.
That was Citizen Soldier, and the song was called Burden. This was their official lyric video. I'm trying to get better about reminding people, if you had just hopped into the chat, what we're listening to and what we're watching in the first place. That was actually a really great song. To be honest with you, it's not quite my overall taste in terms of the overall like sound, if that makes sense, in the way it's produced and delivered as the art that it is, and what it reminded me of. And like I said, I don't compare bands to each other, but what honestly this song took me to a place in time, if that makes any sense. And I'm glad Heather for you suggesting this song, and I want to make sure that you understand that even though I say that this is not my taste, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about when it came to what I heard from this. And a lot of things that I got from this song. Like I said, even though this is not my typical taste and or bag in general. But yeah, we gave it a like. Make sure we get up a little rock teddy. And then we will kind of get into the discussion, because I feel like I have some things I want to say about this. Okay. Give it a rock teddy. Oh, let's do some boosting real quick. Sorry, guys. We got it. We don't discriminate that way. We don't. We gotta still show some love. You know, the truth gives you the depth. Yeah, the lyrical content here is very, very good. Like I said, please don't get it twisted. Just because I'm not screaming and shouting about this song, it's not that kind of thing. I am really the hardest person to share, or expect people to, I guess, relate to some of these type of songs in the same ways. And you guys have already kind of heard me talk about that a few times before, but this song, you know, there's a thing where I think we talked about this a little bit before too, where there's this thing, and I think there's a science behind it, where when you hear music sometimes, often like smells, it'll take you to like a very specific place in time. And like, I know scientifically the smell one is a thing. Excuse me. I can't swear to God. I can't swear about the music one, but I think it is. But this song definitely took me somewhere when I listened to it. It reminded me of when I was in boot camp. When I was in boot camp for the military and going to like the Sunday services, like the chapels, and the music that they played there. Like it sounded like literally exactly like the stuff they played there. There was a song that they played, and I was almost every Sunday I was like hoping that they would play that or sing that song, and then like this song reminded me of that. Does that make sense? I have no idea what it was. I couldn't tell you a single lyric of it and any of that. It's kind of like that. It was kind of a here and there thing, but I feel like this song took me there. Does that make sense? And I feel like the way that they really kind of tackled and dived into this overall discussion of what the message behind this song is was really important. And I think that it's words people need to hear. I have dealt with depression for what feels like my entire life, but when it feels like so long, it just feels so like it just feels so every day to me. Does that make sense? Where I'm like, this on a day like today, I don't need to hear that I'm not a burden, but tomorrow I might need it. You know what I'm saying? Like I might need somebody to please tell me I'm not a burden. You know what I mean? Like that is how quickly and how strongly you could feel some of those things. Does that make sense? Where I'm like, on a day where I'm feeling all right, I don't have that need. But there's been so many times that I can't even tell you that I just would call somebody, just begging for somebody to tell me that I'm not a problem, that I'm not interrupting their time. I just need somebody to talk to. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like I've done this plenty of times already, and there's a guy I even think about now, where anybody who has ever messaged me or even made a comment about like just how they were feeling in the moment when it came to harming themselves and the thoughts of that, if you will. And every time that anybody has made a comment to me or even alluded to some of those kinds of things, saying like, hey, I think about these things too. I'm thinking about something like that today, or anything remotely close to something like that. I always tell people, and I encourage people to, if you feel like you need to talk and you don't feel like you have anybody else that you can talk to, please DM me on my Instagram. I check it pretty frequently, and it's the easiest way to directly message me, where I can see who you are and we can have our own private conversation. Does that make sense? Like on my Discord, there's not really, I don't think, a way for you to kind of like directly message me that way. I don't think, without it basically being public, if that makes sense, in that kind of aspect, or potentially public. So I always tell people that if you need to, and there's been people that have, and I mean it when I say that, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be in that position. I know what it's like when you have 5 people that you can talk to, and you don't want to call any of them because you feel like you're a burden, and you feel like you put that burden on them every single day. I know what that feels like too, because I live that every single day. That is that part I was talking about, where today I don't feel like I am a burden, right? But tomorrow I like want to end my own life because I will think in a moment that my wife would have a better and easier life without me if she didn't have to deal with what I bring to her world. And I know that's not the right thing to think. And I know it's a terrible thing to think that. But that is how quickly it can change, and how quickly you need to be told, Johnny, you're not a burden. You're not. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying any of this, guys, for you guys to ever kind of like give me that kind of affirmation. I'm not ever looking for that. Somebody had made a comment, and I feel like they were aiming it at me. And I feel like they were, they made a comment, and they said that like, you need to look at yourself if you get on the internet and talk about these things. I don't look at it that way. I look at the fact that I have always given you guys who I am, and I can't talk about anything else that I don't ever talk about anything I don't understand. I think personally, when it comes to my mental health, for sure. And I think that talking about it can help people to not feel like you're alone, to not feel like you're the only person in a moment to feel that who feels this. Because, like I said, today I don't feel this way at all, but tomorrow I can, and you know what I'm not gonna say I might, but that quickly it can change. That quickly it can change, and I know it's fucked up thinking when it does happen, but it does happen all the time, and it's just this thing that we wish we weren't this way. You know what I mean? I've had so many people in my life tell me that I'm a weak beta bitch because I've attempted suicide. Like, you know what I mean? Even on my own fucking video, bro, like where I was talking about my history with that, and somebody went onto another video to not leave it on that one to say basically that I'm a bitch, that that they're also a veteran, and that I'm basically a bitch because of how I've dealt with my issues. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I have heard everything in the book about this, and when it comes to those kinds of attacks, you're never going to hurt my fucking feelings. And I'm never coming to the internet to look for people to tell me that I'm great. To tell me, hey, Johnny, it's going to be okay. You're not a burden. I'm not looking for that. Nor would I ever, come on here and ask you guys for that. You know what I mean? So, when somebody made that comment and I felt like they were aiming it at me, I was like, bro, that is not at all what it is, dude. This is more or less me trying to be open and explain, because it's very difficult for people to understand what we go through. You know what I mean? And then I'm not saying me as a veteran, but other veterans as well, but anybody who just deals with problems even similar to mine. Does that make sense? And my own fucking family doesn't understand me, dude. You know what I mean? Like, they think that they do. They've been telling me my whole life, I understand you better than anybody. You know what I mean? No, you don't, though. You really don't. If you knew the truth, you wouldn't say stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't do some of the things that you do because you knew I wouldn't like that. You wouldn't appreciate that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I know what it's like to feel alone and have people around you that tell you that they think that they understand what you're going through, and when they really don't. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks, man. It sucks, and it sucks feeling alone, even when you know you're not. Even when I have a wife, I talk about her a lot, man. I talk about how great she is. Even my family now, man. My family's great. Like, they're very supportive. They're very loving, and I know that I can always reach out for them for anything. I got great friends. I feel like I have a good life. You know what I mean? I know that. I know I do. But it doesn't change those feelings. It doesn't. It's like it's such a wave, man. I think about like the past a lot, and just like the things that you wish you could do differently, and the way things might have been different if you would have done those things. And I understand there's something that you can do. It's all about pressing forward and moving forward. That's what life is all about, man. It's never about going back. It's all about going forward. The future is everything, because you can't change the past. It's already happened. It's gone. You know what I mean? Like, all you can try to do is just not make the same mistakes. And that's why it's hard when it comes to depression, is because you know it's coming. You know how to try to get over it. But those little tricks and things don't work every time. They don't. They really don't. You know what I mean? Like, they work sometimes, but they're not every single time. Like, so that's why you have multiple steps, man. That's why I was feeling so good today, man. Because you know how long it's been since I've gone on a long drive and just listened to some fucking music, man? You know what I mean? And just kind of cleared my head. I got in my own bag, got in my own zone, dude. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I kill myself every week, every day, that I'm not putting out enough content. Every day, I feel like everybody's over here like, oh, what the fuck is Johnny doing all day? You know what I mean? He's only putting out 2 reactions a day. What the fuck could he possibly be doing? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've done some things differently recently to, I think, clear my headspace and kind of go into some of this stuff a little bit differently than I ever really have before. I've gotten some good ideas that I think that I want to try to execute. I got a brand new series that I am going to roll out this week, and I know I promised my patrons. I'm the worst fucking Patreon owner that there was, dude. No wonder nobody's fucking signed up for that shit yet, man. I'm the worst Patreon guy there ever fucking was, dude. Like, I get it. I'm so I'm so appreciative of every patron that I have. And if you haven't joined, please join the free one, man. I want you to be a part of the community. It's just I just want you guys to be there. But I will get better about providing more stuff exclusively for those people. I just want to be able to give it to everybody, and I know I can't. You know what I mean? I want to be able to share it and give everybody everything. You know what I mean? I want to be able to give them what they're looking for and give them that, but I can't. I can't do it. I can't make everybody happy. But I'm getting ready to roll out this new series that I'm going to exclude from YouTube, and I'm going to leave it specifically for my patrons, where I'm gonna start getting and talking into like some of like the most personal songs that like are in my personal collection. I've done this thing with my best friend and my wife and a couple of my other really close friends. Again, I tried sharing it with some people and they never showed interest. They never really cared. I tried to explain kind of what it was. They never really seemed to care. And so I kind of just stopped sending it to them. But the ones that did continue to care and listen and understood what I was doing, I used to create basically playlists that were basically, I felt like my personal journal, if you will. Like, this is what I've been going through for the last 2-3 months. And I've never felt like I've had a really good job of explaining what was going on in my head, in my heart to people. Like what I was really going through at any point in time, really. Does that make sense? And I feel like music has always kind of been my way to communicate, if that makes sense. So I would create these playlists of like this is my story that I'm telling about what I'm going through right now. Does that make sense? And so most of the time, if it made it on that playlist, it probably had got a tear or two out of me. Not like bawling every single time, but like there was something about it that felt like I was giving a piece of my soul to somebody else. Does that make sense? Even though I didn't write that music. You know what I mean? Like it felt like it was a part of me that way. And so I'm starting this specific series of, basically talking about some of those songs and what those songs mean to me. And just kind of giving that little part of my soul back to my patrons, if you will, of like, this is like the most inner parts of what I can share with you, because this is what I share with the people closest around to me. Does that make sense? Like, where I don't know how to give much more than this, so this is what I do give to them. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna give it to my patrons, and I hope that they're gonna like it. It's gonna be a lot like kind of like a reaction where we're gonna listen to it and talk about it. You know what I mean? So I know some songs you guys are gonna be familiar with, and other songs you guys won't be. But that's kind of the point, right? Is like, there's always a good discussion when it comes to the art of music about everything, because there's always something interesting to talk about with all of it. Whether you like it or don't like it, whether you think I'm wrong or right about something, I appreciate you for checking out the videos and support in general. You know what I mean? Like I said, if anything, you're showing support for the algorithm, for the artists that I'm trying to support. So if you don't like my video for that particular reason, it still benefits the artist. So that, that's the good thing. Like I said, I know I'm not talking to you guys out there. That's just more or less talking to the ether of the internet. You know what I mean? I do a lot of like venting out loud that way to kind of like, it's very mantra-like, where it's like you got to kind of keep saying it. So that way, like, it starts sinking in a little bit. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, don't let it bother you. It's just helping the algorithm of the artist you're trying to support. Because like I said, if they didn't like your video and they left that comment, they're probably not coming back. And the thing is, guys, is some of those people that have left some of those comments, they've come back. And I've been surprised. The people I thought I'd never see again, they pop up again later. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. Maybe they thought about it differently again, or something. I don't know. Because like I said, I feel like I've given enough of myself onto the internet and onto my channel for people to understand where I'm coming from, and kind of, I think, where my heart really lies when it comes to this whole what I'm trying to do here. So I gotta remember that there's, and appreciate you guys who get it, that's what I do it for. I don't do it for the people who don't get it. So, I appreciate you guys. I do. I say that a lot. I try to have always been that kind of guy to just to say thank you and to give appreciation to the people that matter. Because, you know, if you guys weren't here and enjoying this and entertained by what I do, I'd have to be trying to do dumber and stupider things to try to bring some attention to this, you know, or think of my huge failure. But, you know, you guys definitely give me a lot of love and support. So I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I couldn't do this without you guys. And I really appreciate you, Heather, for suggesting Citizen Soldier. If I haven't said that already, I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much for this song and suggesting this song, because I think it really just opened the door for, I think, just a great discussion in general, in terms of, like, even if you don't understand mental health, or even if you don't deal with it yourself, that's a bit the same. Even if you don't deal with it yourself, I think it's important to understand and have a little bit of empathy for some of those individuals. And I feel like there's always something more that you can learn, no matter how much you think you know. Does that make sense? I'm not saying now I've got it all figured out either, guys. I deal with it myself, you know what I mean? But I don't got it all figured out. And I don't really think anybody does. And there's no really way to figure it out like that. But, you know, I think it really is about just making the baby steps. You know, the hardest steps are the first ones. Once you make them, it gets easier after that. And, you know, the next time you come back to feeling that way, you know, you try those baby steps, and if they don't work, you try to baby step this way. You know what I mean? There's always something that you can do. And that's what I said. Sometimes the drive in the car doesn't help me. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it makes it worse. But it's very rare that it happens. But yeah, sometimes instead of the music, I just want to drone out for a podcast on a drive. And I just want to listen to a bunch of guys and girls talk about something stupid and make me laugh. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's the kind of, you know, sometimes you need that kind of stuff in your life. You know, I'm a big fan of comedy. I think that laughing is the most important thing that we have as human beings, because we don't have to do anything to create that other than just find some joy and excitement into something, and you can laugh. You know, I love that quote a lot about you'll never wish that you laughed more on your deathbed, laughed less on your deathbed. You'll always wish that you had laughed more on your deathbed. It's the one thing you'll always wish you did more of. You'll never be ashamed of all those good times that you enjoyed giggling with your boys and your girls. Let's go ahead and check out this chat. I have not looked at this for a minute.